Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie Tolhurst, and welcome to the Motormania Podcast for today, the 1st of January, 2025, New Year's Day today. Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you had a great Christmas as well. And if you've got any automotive gifts, let me know in the comments. But yes, 2025, a new year. Obviously, I haven't filmed the podcast for a while because I've been busy with other commitments. But yes, lots of things to talk about. I'm going to be covering a little bit more sort of motoring news, motorsport news on today's show. And it's going to be a fun show, actually. We've got lots of content planned for today. So yeah, certainly interesting. Now, the first bit of news is there is a show happening in Japan. It's in the capital city of Tokyo. It is the Auto Salon for 2025. Lots of cars come into this event. It's between the 10th and the 12th of January, which actually ties in with another event I'm going to talk about in a minute. And lots of cars are going to be coming out, and we're going to be speaking about a lot of cars actually on this particular part. So obviously you can watch the Motormania podcast live on YouTube as well. I'm your presenter, Charlie Tolhurst. So talking about some of the new cars coming out, I'm very interested to talk about these actually. So Honda has confirmed that a prototype of the new Prelude will be on display, likely giving us a firmer date of when the final production car will be coming. It is going to be apparently sold in Europe as well as Japan. It will feature a new hybrid powertrain and drive mode that stimulates a proper gearbox. It's also bringing something along called the Civic Type R Racing Black Package. However, though, not much info is coming back. Obviously, Honda are going to make a comeback in Formula One in 2026 when they partner up with Aston Martin for powertrains and engines as well. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what the new Honda Prelude is going to bring, actually. It's a big car that's been spoken about for a while, actually. Nissan as well. They are going to be talking about an electric swapped R32 Skyline as well. North American spec version of the 2025 Z will complete the nostalgic new Bayside blue color choice as well. In terms of Subaru, okay, they are going to be announcing their new WRX STI as this car suggested. Its headline piece as well is the BRZ STI Sport Purple Edition. Recently, Toyota have announced the GR86 or the GT86, previously what it was called. That unfortunately got retired at the end of last year. Very sad, actually, because it was a 140 mile an hour sports car that actually was quite well loved in Japan. Actually, it was a very popular car, very well loved car. Actually, Top Gear, Jeremy Clarkson liked driving it. And to be fair, it is heavily based on this Subaru BRZ. The BRZ STI is going to get a purple edition, along with a race car, a hydrogen-powered WRX racer as well. So lots on that. Toyota as well are going to be announcing a new Celica as well. A new Celica concept, or a new Celica that's coming out. Since the 1990s was that car actually produced. Could be available in automatic or manual transmission. But yes, already some car news announced for 2025. Very interesting actually to see some of Japan's cool car concepts coming out. And it'd be very interesting to see how they actually get on, because it's certainly going to be interesting seeing the cars in Japan, and it's going to be very interesting as well. We also have lots of new cars as well that are coming out in 2025, according to Auto Express, or Auto Car as well. I've probably spoken about these a lot, actually, in detail, but I'll just go over a few whilst I'm here, because also as well, I think there's a car show going on in Europe at the moment as well. I think in Poland they're doing one. Alpine A390, the Stelvio EV, the Giulietta is going to get an electric as well. It left back in 2020, however, though, it looks like it's going to be a sort of a hatchback crossover now. The Aston Martin Vantage is going to get a convertible version as well, called the Volante. It was unveiled in February 2024. Features a 656 brake horsepower 4-litre twin-turbo V8, much improved interior, and it also gets convertible trim, even though not many convertibles exist now of higher-powered sports cars and supercars. So Aston Martin are certainly trying to give the Porsche 911 a run for its money with that. Audi Q7, the SQ7 as well, the A7 All-Road, RS6 e-tron, just some of the cars mentioned there as well. We're also going to see another RS5 Avant as well. It's going to have a 2.9 litre V6, going to have a hybrid powertrain and everything as well. BMW's X5 is also going to get an update. The Ford Ranger is also going to get an update as well. Ferrari are also going to announce an electric Roma Mark II. So there's pretty much some cars that are coming out there. But I want to talk about one car in particular that is hitting headlines in America right now. That is this car here that I want to share with you. It is the Corvette ZR1, which is coming out this year. It's 2025 is the release of the ZR1 Corvette based on the C8. Yes. 0 to 60 miles an hour in less. Well, this is going to be an insane car, guys. We're talking one of the most powerful Corvettes ever made. This car is insane. You know, the Corvette ZR1 is the most one. This is the most powerful ever Corvette we're going to have. It's going to have, according to this, an LT7 5.5 litre direct overhead camshaft V8 engine with twin turbos. It's mid-engine now, from what I read up here. Yeah, it's insane. You know, the Corvette ZR1 is going to start from around $180,000. Actually, not particularly bad money. More expensive though. In terms of this, it's the most powerful Corvette ever made. The C7 ZR1 will be available with 722 brake horsepower performance exhaust. It's going to have as well. It's going to have adaptive brake suspension, a more powerful engine as well. It's going to have that classic split windscreen that the 1963 Corvette Coupe as well. 15.7-inch carbon ceramic brakes. Also include competition yellow, hysteria purple, and Sebring orange. As well. Lots of upgrades. There's even a special apparently this car's got 1,664 brake horsepower as well. I think it's also going to have an LT7 pack as well. New intake systems. Yes, this is a monster. This new Corvette is Chevrolet, bloody hell, 1,000 horsepower of a Corvette. Insane. It is going to be a rocket ship, especially in a straight line. I think Chevrolet claim with this powertrain, it can hit 233 miles an hour according to their website. I mean, look, it is just insane. You know, Corvette hitting 233. I think you'll certainly be interested to see how fast that car goes. And it's certainly, going to be interesting. Yeah, huge speed. Certainly going to be an interesting car from what I can say, in terms of it's a quick car. And I really want to underline what this car is, because the new Corvette ZR1 is certainly very interesting. And this is exactly what Top Gear had a look the other day.
Do you remember the old Corvette C6 Z06? That 7-litre LS7 engine that revved and revved, 505 horsepower, proper thumb in the eye to European sports cars of the time. So fast and so intense. I only mention it because I've been trying to get my head around this new car, the C8 ZR1, because it has to get more than an entire LS7 engine's power output through each 345 section tyre. Yep, there were rumours this thing was going to be a hybrid and share its huge power output between four wheels, but no. 5.5 litre flat plane crank twin turbocharged V8, 1,064 horsepower, 828 foot-pounds of torque, and just rear-wheel drive. There is so much more to say about this car, but that's a pretty good place to start, isn't it? So here it is, the ZR1 or ZR1, whatever you prefer, and you didn't misunderstand. I said 1,064 brake horsepower. It's the first ever turbocharged Corvette, but thanks to the flat plane crank configuration, it revs to 8,000 RPM with maximum power at 7,000 RPM. It's not exactly peaky though, and produces over 800 foot-pounds of torque from 3 to 6,500 revs. I guess I could have said more power and torque per driven wheel than an entire GT3 RS 4-litre flat six too. So it's a regular production Corvette that should cost under $200,000 with an engine to shade LaFerrari or P1 or Veyron or 918 Spider, or pretty much anything with a combustion engine and rear drive, save for true outliers from Koenigsegg or Hennessy. By any measure, it is utterly outrageous. Chevy has provided me with some fun fast facts, they call them, about this car, and I'm going to run through a few because they really do speak of this car's amazing performance potential. Okay, so for example, all four test drivers on their first lap at the Nürburgring achieved over 200 miles an hour. The first ever measured quarter mile for this car was under 10 seconds. The first time they took it to the Milford Proving Ground, it exceeded the old ZR1's top speed, which was 212 miles an hour. It produces 545 kilos of downforce with the ZTK package. That's a lot more than a 992 GT3, although not really close to that monster, the GT3 RS. What else? Well, the exhaust tips provide 37 pounds of thrust because, of course, they do. The turbos, the impellers get to 2/3 the temperature of the Space Shuttle on re-entry. The tips of the turbos get to 1.7 times the speed of sound. This car has extraordinary numbers attached to it, massive potential. But what's behind that? What is this thing actually all about? As you can see, the car comes as either convertible or coupe, which retains the targa roof arrangement of lesser Corvettes. Each body style is available in standard form or with the more extreme ZTK package, which consists of a much more aggressive high downforce setup, plus stiffer springs and a bespoke tune for the magnetic ride control. Cars equipped with ZTK also get Michelin Cup 2R tyres. Even so, the ZR1 doesn't build on the already sharp, naturally aspirated Z06 with an even tighter track focus, but instead goes the other way. The ride is said to be a bit more comfortable and the on-limit behaviour slightly more forgiving. With all that power, they didn't need or want to make a car right on the edge. At 1,665 kilos drive for the coupe and 1,705 for the convertible, the ZR1 is around 75 kilos heavier than the Z06. You can trim that with carbon fibre wheels and other lightweight options too. But whichever version you go for, the heart of this ZR1 is this incredible new LT7 engine. I'm joined here by Jordan Lee, who's going to give us the full lowdown. He is chief engineer of the small block on the LT7.
All right. Well, it's our latest and greatest, and we actually think this is one of our best engines ever. It's the most powerful production V8 engine ever put in a sports car, most powerful production V8 engine ever made in America. We had a lot of lofty goals early on when we designed and developed the engine, and we wanted a ton of horsepower for the C8 ZR1. The Gemini, small block Gemini LT7 engine is actually a brother engine to the LT6, which is the Z06, which you probably know pretty well.
Yep.
All new architecture. It's got a dry sump loop system, dedicated scavenge pump. This one has a 7-base scavenge pump system and a high-pressure oil pump, so it's actually 8 stages. Purpose-built. It's almost like a race engine for a car. The loop system performance under really rigorous track conditions is just phenomenal. The engine is very solid and robust, extremely durable, and makes a ton of power. So we focused intently on making a lot of power, Has two of the biggest turbochargers ever on a gasoline engine. We went with the mono scroll so we can get the maximum power out of the engine. And we actually started with our goals to be 850 horsepower originally. But when we built the first engines and had them on the dyno, and we were running them on the dyno with the wastegates fully open, we were making over 800 horsepower at that point. And we all knew, oh my God, this thing's going to make a ton of power. So we worked closely with Taj. We didn't want to make sure we didn't overpower the car. And we started iterating and increasing the power levels. So 850 became 900, then 900 became 1,000. And then when we did the power rating, we went full bore to get as much power as we could. And we ended up with 1,064 horsepower.
Okay, so tell us about the boost pressure and also the characteristics of the engine, because it's a pretty high specific output, but you were saying to me earlier that the actual response is very much like a naturally aspirated engine, just really enhanced.
There is some unique technical features that allow us to do that. The big turbos can result in turbo lag, but there's an anti-turbo lag strategy that we use in calibration with the software that's kind of like a miracle to me. It keeps the turbo spooled up, so anytime you tip in the throttle.
Sadly, I don't, but I promise we will soon, and I cannot wait. It is a monster engine. In fact, GM's dyno kept failing. Track. Okay, wheel and tyre package. Very similar, same size as the Z06, so that means 275s at the front, 345 25 ZR21s at the rear. With the standard car, you get the P4S Michelin tyre, and that is exactly the same as on the Z06. But if you go for this package, you get the Cup 2R. I mean, it looks like a slick tyre. Absolutely monster tyre package. And it is slightly different to account for the higher top speed. This thing does over 215 miles an hour, even in high downforce mode. So the construction is slightly different on the Cup 2R. Okay, wheels. Standard, you get alloy wheels. There's 4 different finishes, including the Edge Blue, which is new for ZR1. You can also get these optional carbon fiber wheels. We've seen carbon fiber wheels on the Corvette Z06 before, but these are different. They say they save 18 kilos or so of unsprung mass between all 4 corners and give you some brake package around the car. It's effectively exactly the same. The only difference I can spot is in the rearview mirror. You can see that big wing on this car. Obviously, the car still comes in coupe form, which has a Targa roof, which still fits in the back, or this, which is the convertible. We're going to use this car. It's a bit easier to see the interior and what I'm talking about. But effectively, pretty nice. I like these things. The square steering wheel really upsets some people. Doesn't bother me at all, actually. Never really had an issue with it. But it's C8 Corvette. Love it or loathe it. That's what you get inside. I guess more interesting are all the various driver modes, because there's quite a lot in these cars. Again, it will be familiar if you're a Corvette owner, but I'm going to run through them anyway. So I have a mode controller down here. It's a rotary dial, effectively, almost like a BMW iDrive type thing. We start in weather mode, which we could probably just call British mode, couldn't we, with the summer that we've been having? It's been awful, but that's for rain, inclement weather. Then my mode, which is you can adjust various different parameters for what you actually like. And then you click up through Tour, self-explanatory, Sport, and Track. And effectively what you're changing is steering feel and steering weight, the magnetic ride control 4, so you're changing obviously the damper settings, engine response, engine sound, the brake feel too. This has an e-boost on the brake system, so they can adjust the feel of that depending on pedal pressure, etc. And you can get into the performance traction management as well, which we'll come back to in a second, because there is one more mode, and that is the Z mode on the steering wheel. This is, again, like a favorite mode, but it's different from my mode in that you can also change the traction control settings, so you can get everything off with this button if that's how you want it, or you can delve into the performance traction management, get into these. But I'm going to engine mode, which starts off with wet, then goes up to dry. ESC is still on at this stage. Then sport goes on. Then race 1, which is ESC off. So this is effectively just a traction control system. Race 2, which again allows even more slip, and then you can turn it off altogether. So there are many, many modes to get your head around. But if you're a Corvette owner and you've got a C8 or a Z06, you're going to understand that pretty simply. For the rest of us, it's always a bit of a mystery, but we'll get there eventually.
Thank you there to Top Gear for that overview there. I have to say, I am very excited for this new ZR1, Corvette ZR1 or ZR1, whatever you call it. This car is one of the last proper cars to have an internal, well, let's say, not just hybrid, it's one of the last proper cars to come out of America that is going to have no hybrid electrification at all. Is going to be a pure old school petrol engine. And what I heard on the video there was actually very interesting. Lots of stats, as I said. This car is going to have a brand new 5.5 litre twin turbocharged V8. Is going to have a double overhead cam engine with 1,064 brake horsepower. This means this engine is much more powerful than the Z06, and also this is the most powerful Corvette ever, and it also has two of the biggest turbochargers ever fitted on a petrol engine production car. I mean, that's crazy. As well, one of the most powerful V8s in America. It's one of the most powerful V8s of all time. I don't know how they're doing this. It is absolutely insane. I mean, you're going to have two modes, convertible and coupe with the Targa option. I have to say, I cannot wait for this car. I know Corvettes have been known in the past, particularly the ZR1s. They have been known to being a handful. Obviously, they used to be four-wheel drive. They used to be very tail-happy, especially at the back end. Very difficult to control in corners. Obviously, I think they have, for this new version, for the C8, they have revised a lot of that. It's now only rear-wheel drive. It's mid-engined. I hope the power at the back should be hopefully a lot more. There should be a lot more control at the back, obviously, where the front engine, all the power was at the front, so the rear was tail-happy. So, yeah, this new Corvette ZR1 is going to be interesting, and the power of this thing is incredible. Insane 1,064 brake horsepower. As they were talking about on the video there, it is going to be an incredibly powerful car. One of the most powerful supercars to come out of America. It's a muscle car. It's a supercar, I'm going to call it. This thing will certainly be breaking records. 0 to 60 miles an hour in 2.3 seconds. This car is going to give even the likes of the LaFerrari and the McLaren P1 and the Porsche 918 a run for its money with 0 to 60 times. In fact, it trumps all of them. And to have a top speed, well, in 250 miles per hour on a high downforce mode, 231 probably on the lower downforce. This thing should probably tear up most tracks. And in fact, at Nürburgring, this thing achieved over 200 miles an hour in straight line. It is a powerhouse, and I'm sure Corvette owners will certainly go mad over this car when it comes out this year. It is huge. Corvette ZR1 for you guys. 2025 Chevrolet or Corvette ZR1, we can call it, is going to be interesting. And of course, guys, as well, we've also lost some cars in 2025 as well. I just want to say, being someone who is a huge petrol head, I was very. It was upsetting, losing some cars over this period. It was certainly an emotional end to lose some iconic cars on here. These are some of. I mean, there are 11 great cars. According to Car Throttle, these are some of the most missed cars of 2024. Lots of cars on here, supercars, sports cars, the GR86 as I mentioned, and also as well Hyundai axing the i20 and the i30. And I actually really like these two cars. Great hot hatches. Hyundai. Obviously, the Ioniq 5 is now technically taking over that electric car rostrum there. The Audi R8 as well. Who cannot forget the R8? More of an attainable version of the 911, Porsche 911, of course, as well. The Lamborghini Huracan, another supercar. That sadly, one of my favourite Lambos, the Starato version, certainly had a lot of people. Great off-road as well, actually, that car, I think, Starato. I know Porsche built the 911 Dakar as well. SF90 as well. Surprised that one's going. That's not been on production very long. The Golf 8 manual, that's now just going to be on automatic only or DSG. Chiron, The F-Type, Jaguar changing their course, unfortunately. Huge shame. This car, probably one of my favourite sports cars. One of my favourite Jaguars, actually. It's a great car. The F-Type's amazing. That V8 engine, that supercharged V8, the V6 as well. I'm going to miss that supercharged V6 engine, the 3-litre supercharged V6, especially convertible trim, 2013, I think that came out. I love that V6 engine. That supercharged V6 in the F-Type was just amazing. I love that one. The Abarth 595 as well. Fiat 500 Abarth. That's going to be going. Only probably available now as an electric. And of course, not to mention the Suzuki Jimny. Came out back, I think, late 90s. This car certainly was getting... it was certainly aging a lot. It did return briefly a few years ago. Did get retired, came back, but yeah, it didn't really catch on. It's a shame now. Yeah, this car just didn't quite have the edge, unfortunately. Got a bit old, and yeah. It's a shame, really, because that's quite an iconic car. It used to go off-road. It was a small little boxy city car that could go off-road. Actually, pretty good off-road, to be fair, for what it was. Some people, I mean, a lot of people it wasn't the best car to drive. It did kind of look like a cardboard box on wheels. It looked like something had been smashed like a cardboard box. But, it was a famous car by Suzuki. It's still an iconic little off-roader that I'm sure will be missed by many people, especially those who were young drivers who wanted a first car on a pretty decent budget. Now, the final bit of the show today is this. I'm going to be talking about the Autosport International, which is coming up in January. This is the first huge car event of 2025. It starts on the 9th of January. It runs till the 12th, so I believe it's running over a few days, 3 or 4 days long. It's in the NEC in Birmingham. I think it's a National Exhibition Centre. It's the largest motorsport show in Europe. Huge show, this one. Do you know what? It's difficult because I'm actually busy next week, but I'd love to go to this. You've got a huge show coming up. On the 9th to 10th, you've got the Engineering Trade Show, which will be seeing stuff like motorsport engineering and stuff. There's going to be cars there as well. So in terms of the weekend show, we've got celebrating 75 years, of course, of Formula One. Obviously, with that event at the O2 in next month in the O2. I bet we're going to see some Formula One cars, maybe McLaren, Ferrari. They're going to be displaying McLaren won the Constructors' Championship last year. Motorsport as well, going to be there as well. We're going to see some engines. For the racers, there's going to be a motorsport community area as well. Clubs, championships also going to be there for the fans. There'll be a chance to actually see that as well. You can get tickets. I think they're about £38 online as well. There's also a pole position. Probably some simulators there as well that you can have a go at as well. So it's going to be a big show, huge show actually. Obviously there's going to be, I think, a live auction as well, from what I understand. As well, I think they're going to be doing some auctions as well. So yeah, it's going to be crazy. There's going to be loads of halls as well for you to enjoy. There's even going to be an action arena as well, a 5,000-seater indoor arena where you're going to be seeing cars, some stunt cars, maybe some super Imprezas as well. There's going to be daily shows as well, which are going to be coming on Saturday and Sundays when it opens its doors to fans as well. Yeah, this show, guys, is an absolute must-go to. 2025 Autosport International. I definitely would get your tickets and go to this show. It's a great show. I don't know whether I'm going to be going yet. It's kind of difficult because it's quite only next week. But I might go one day. It's a motorsport show. If you're a motorsport fan, please get yourself down here. It's a great show. It's in Birmingham. It's in the NEC. If you're going for the weekend, maybe book a hotel. Like take advantage of the bookings. It's a great show, guys. I really think it's a great option. It's a great opportunity to go experience the event. You know, if you're a car fan as well, if you're a motorsport fan, this is definitely a show for you because there are going to be so many cars there. You know, Formula One cars, motorsport cars, everything. It's a great show. They'll probably have some cars on display as well. It looks amazing. And you get to even see live action. I mean, that is absolutely amazing. So next week at the NEC in Birmingham, the Autosport International is going to be a great show. And that is all I've got time for today on the Motormania Podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I'm your presenter, Charlie Tolhurst. Happy New Year to you all. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Take care. And goodbye. Thank you.